really ever tell what the timeless stories are going to be until they become timeless. And it's just one of those things where the themes at the time were very, very shocking, very kind of pushing the envelope. You know, I went on trial. You know, some of the material in the book was used as evidence against him in his trial for his sort of lascivious nature or whatever. And I think just some of those themes, they tend to become eternal. You know, those sort of carpe diem attitudes, the idea about staying young forever, about you know, beauty and the aesthetic being the most important thing. And I think these you know, projects and films and music become current, you know, by the way that people view them rather than in the way that they're written or the way that they're made, I think. Yeah, well, I think it's important to try to make it, you know, a bit dark and a little bit shocking if you possibly can, because, as I say, at the time it would have been very, very shocking to read this kind of material. Unfortunately, it's very difficult nowadays because everything has been shown on screen. There's nothing that you can tell, nothing that you can show that hasn't already been, you know, already been portrayed on a screen. So it's very difficult to shock people nowadays, especially if you want to make your film, you know, available to a wide range of, you know, of people, to have a sort of large demographic and have, you know, 15-year-olds be able to go and see it as, you know, if you're going to make it kind of R-rated. A little bit at the beginning, when the director said to me he'd been showing my picture around to people, asking if people thought I was good looking enough to play this character, which, you know, about whom Oscar Wilde had been so effusive in his descriptions in the book. So, you know, I was nervous that I would be sitting in a lot of interviews and people would be asking me, so you think you're really good looking, you can play this character, do you? So I was worried from that aspect, but actually for me it was more about the idea of staying young and the power of youth. Because that, for me, is really what the sort of the major theme for that character is anyway. You know, he kind of ages and becomes this cynical, decrepit, dark 40, you know, guy in his mid-40s, but he still looks 21, so he has that power. I think the reason for it is because Dorian Gray, the book and the sort of very early film of it, which are great, it's a bit like watching somebody jump off a cliff or watching your car crash about to happen. He's sort of, you know, you have Dorian at the height of his innocence and his power in London, and you know, he's kind of the toast of the town, and then it very slowly starts to get worse and dark, and he starts murdering people, he starts, you know, engaging in all these sinister activities, and it's just a sort of downward spiral really into his demise. And I think it was important to, especially on film, especially, you know, what we're used to watching at cinema now, is important to have hope. Some kind of hope, even if it's a tease, some kind of hope that actually you might redeem yourself. And so I think Emily represented Dorian's possible future. You know, he potentially could be in love with this woman, he could separate himself from the life that he's leading and get away and be a better man.